Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions. The mystery of the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction. Not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. Between 2007 and 2009, a security guard named Yalcin Yalman at the Yeni Kent Compound, a housing complex in the Kumburgaz district on the Sea of Marmara coast near Istanbul, Turkey, filmed a series of videos of a disc-shaped craft hovering over the water at night. The videos are not the blurry, indistinct nighttime footage that characterizes most claimed UFO videos. They were shot on a Sony digital camera with a powerful zoom lens. The object was stationary for extended periods, and the footage is clear enough to see structural details of the object, including what appear to be multiple interconnected disc elements, windows or portholes, and in some frames, small figures visible through the windows. The Kumburgaz footage was investigated by Sirius UFO Space Science Research Center in Turkey, which submitted the videos to the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, TÜBİTAK, the country's premier scientific research institution. TÜBİTAK analyzed the footage and issued a report stating that the footage was genuine, that it had not been digitally manipulated or produced by a model or special effect, and that the objects shown were real and structured. TÜBİTAK was not able to identify the objects as any known aircraft, drone, or other technology. The Kumburgaz footage was subsequently submitted for analysis to multiple international research institutions, including the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS, in the United States, which also found it to be genuine and unaltered. Ufologists including Antonio Urzi, Jorge Martin, and James Mawson presented the footage at international UFO conferences. It was broadcast on national Turkish television, and the security guard who filmed it, a working man with no apparent motive for fabrication and who had no prior UFO interest, continued filming similar objects appearing over the Sea of Marmara through 2009, accumulating hours of footage that maintained consistent characteristics across multiple separate nights and filming sessions. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we go further, if you are finding this investigation compelling, please take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who loves a good historical mystery. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. If you found us through Facebook, tap follow on our page. It takes just a few seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep making these documentaries. Now, let us get back to the investigation. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the landscape of modern documented mysteries, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. The 20th and 21st centuries were supposed to be the age of answers. Science had decoded DNA, split the atom, put humans on the moon, and mapped the genome. By the logic of accelerating discovery, every mystery should be converging toward explanation. And yet the ledger of genuinely unexplained phenomena, events witnessed by credible observers, investigated by serious researchers, and still lacking a satisfying account, has not shrunk. If anything, it has grown. Part of this is a failure of classification. Phenomena that do not fit established categories tend to be dismissed rather than investigated, filed under anecdotal or mass hysteria, and removed from serious consideration. This is not always wrong, genuine hoaxes and misperceptions account for a large portion of anomalous reports. But the dismissal is sometimes premature and the cost is real. Cases that might have yielded genuine insight are closed before they are fully examined. Witnesses are discredited. Evidence is lost. The question is never properly asked. The cases that endure, that survive rigorous scrutiny, and still refuse to yield to conventional explanation, are a small but significant set. They share certain characteristics: multiple independent witnesses, physical evidence consistent with witness testimony, and a complete absence of any plausible prosaic explanation that accounts for all the data. These are not ghost stories. They are open problems in empirical science, waiting for someone with the right tools and the intellectual courage to take them seriously. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Yalcin Yalman began filming unusual objects over the Sea of Marmara from his position as night security guard at the Yeni Kent Compound in approximately May 2007. He filmed the objects on a Sony digital camera with approximately 200x optical zoom capability, which provided the magnification necessary to capture detailed images of objects at distances of hundreds of meters over the water. The filming continued intermittently from 2007 through 2009, with Yalman capturing footage on at least 8-10 separate occasions of objects with consistent physical characteristics. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen. Instruments malfunction. Researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the TÜBİTAK, Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, analysis of the Kumburgaz footage was the most significant official scientific evaluation the videos received. TÜBİTAK report stated that the footage had not been digitally manipulated. The objects shown were not models, miniatures, or special effects. The objects showed characteristics, reflective surface, structural detail, apparent depth, consistent with large solid objects, and the objects could not be identified as any known aircraft, drone, or natural phenomenon. The TÜBİTAK conclusion was notably stronger than typical official responses to UFO footage. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine the apparent figures visible in some frames of the Kumburgaz footage have been the most controversial element of the analysis. In a small number of video frames, within what appears to be a window or transparent dome on the upper portion of the craft, small figures appear to be visible, a larger figure and a smaller figure, appearing to have heads and torsos distinguishable from the craft structure. These frames have been examined by video analysts, both defending and skeptical of the footage, with disagreements about whether the apparent figures represent genuine entities or are artifacts of the compression and magnification of the digital image. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation. But the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, the Kumburgaz footage attracted significant international attention after being presented at the 2008 World Symposium on UFOs by Jaime Mawson, a Mexican journalist known for UFO research. The subsequent broadcast on Turkish national television amplified the domestic audience. The Sirius UFO Space Science Research Center, which organized the formal investigation, is a privately funded Turkish organization that has maintained the footage archives and organized subsequent research. Their 2009 final report on the footage summarized the results of multiple expert analyses and concluded that the footage represents genuine anomalous objects. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of skeptical analyses of the Kumburgaz footage have proposed several conventional explanations. The most frequently cited is that the objects filmed are ships or boats on the Sea of Marmara seen from an unusual angle under specific atmospheric conditions that distort their appearance. Under this explanation, the zoom lens's low depth of field and the haze conditions over the water could make distant ships appear to hover, have structured shapes, and show lighting patterns that superficially resemble what is seen in the footage. Critics of this explanation note that the footage shows the objects maintaining consistent altitude above the water surface, while ships would be on the water surface. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous point. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding: Turkey has a history of significant UFO reports and some degree of official engagement with the phenomenon. The Turkish Air Force has officially acknowledged multiple instances of unusual radar contacts over Turkish airspace, and the Kumburgaz case attracted official interest from the Turkish Air Force as well as from TÜBİTAK. Turkey's position at the intersection of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, combined with its proximity to the Black Sea and the Sea of Marmara, places it in an area of significant military and commercial aviation activity, which provides context for both frequent sightings and the availability of advanced recording equipment. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations. And in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the genuine unidentified craft theory holds that the Kumburgaz footage shows a genuine physical craft of unknown origin, whether extraterrestrial, advanced terrestrial, or of some other category, hovering over the Sea of Marmara for extended periods. The TÜBİTAK certification of the footage's authenticity, combined with the extended multi-year filming period, the consistency of the object's appearance across multiple sessions, and the inability of multiple expert analyses to identify a conventional explanation, supports the conclusion that the footage shows something genuinely anomalous. The apparent figures visible in some frames, if genuine, would constitute the most remarkable UFO footage ever recorded. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the military drone/experimental aircraft theory proposes that the objects filmed are classified military or experimental technology being tested over the Sea of Marmara, potentially Turkish, American, NATO member, or Russian equipment. The Sea of Marmara is a strategically important waterway between the Black Sea and the Aegean, and military testing in its airspace is plausible. The extended hovering capability, disc shape, and metallic appearance described could be consistent with advanced drone technology that was classified at the time of filming. The official TÜBİTAK genuine conclusion would then represent scientists certifying that the footage shows a real object without having access to classified information about what that object is. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the misidentified conventional object theory, the main skeptical position, holds that the Kumburgaz objects are ships, boats, or floating structures on the Sea of Marmara, whose appearance was distorted by atmospheric conditions, zoom lens characteristics, and the recording geometry to produce the disc-shaped hovering appearance. Under this model, the TÜBİTAK genuine conclusion reflects the absence of digital manipulation rather than confirmation that the object is not a ship. The footage may be genuine and unmanipulated while showing a real but mundane object. The extended filming over multiple nights reflects the persistent presence of shipping traffic on the Sea of Marmara. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the TÜBİTAK official report certifying the footage as genuine and unmanipulated is the primary formal evidentiary document. The report's findings that the footage was not digitally altered and that the objects shown have characteristics inconsistent with known aircraft, models, or natural phenomena constitute the most significant official scientific assessment of any UFO footage in the historical record. The report is publicly available through the Sirius UFO organization's archives and has been independently reviewed by international researchers. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented the multi-year, multi-session nature of the footage, with Yalman filming similar objects on multiple separate occasions from 2007 to 2009, provides evidence against a one-time staging or coincidence. If the footage were fabricated, maintaining consistent fictional characteristics across 8-10 separate filming sessions over 2 years would require sustained effort and sophisticated technology that was not subsequently detected. If the objects are genuine, their repeated presence over the Sea of Marmara in the same general area suggests they were either permanent installations or were making repeated visits to the same location. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the visible structural detail in the footage, the multi-element disc configuration, what appear to be windows or ports, the metallic reflective surface, provides physical characteristics that can be compared with known aircraft and with theoretical craft configurations. The structural configuration shown is not consistent with known rotary or fixed-wing aircraft, and the stationary hovering over water for extended periods is not consistent with known balloon or drone technology as of 2007-2009. These structural features, visible due to the high-quality zoom lens, distinguish the Kumburgaz footage from most UFO videos in which object details are obscured by distance and optical limitations. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded. Now we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing in our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The Kumburgaz footage remains one of the most discussed pieces of video evidence in contemporary UFO research. As video analysis technology has improved, the footage has been reanalyzed using frame interpolation, image stabilization, and enhanced color analysis that provide additional detail beyond what was visible in original reviews. Some analyses have strengthened the genuine structured craft interpretation by revealing additional structural features consistent across multiple frames. Others have proposed the ship misidentification explanation by identifying visual artifacts consistent with atmospheric distortion of a distant surface vessel. The case is regularly cited in Turkish media as part of Turkey's broader UFO history, and the Kumburgaz compound where Yalman worked has become a minor destination for UFO tourists. Yalman has given multiple interviews in the years since the filming and maintains that he simply filmed what he observed. He has expressed no particular theory about the object's origin. but notes that whatever they were, they appeared regularly over the Sea of Marmara and showed consistent characteristics, suggesting physical solidity and purposeful hovering. As with many significant UFO cases, the question remains not whether the footage is genuine, TÜBİTAK has certified it is, but what exactly is shown in it. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the Kumburgaz UFO, the Turkish footage that scientists called the best UFO video evidence ever recorded, from the historical record through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of Kumburgaz UFO ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please help us reach more people. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new documentary. If you are watching on Facebook, tap the follow button on our page to stay connected. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.